Rhode Island General Treasurer James Diossa, welcome back to Bartholomew Town.
Yeah, good to see you. It's good to be on.
It's been a minute. We were just kind of noting that. And I think the last time you were on the show may have been the debate that you had against Republican candidate James Lathrop that we did
Oh
live on the
yeah.
radio. That feels at once like it was just pretty much a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, whatever. And that feels like a lifetime ago, which leads me to the question right out of the gate. What's it like to be general treasurer?
But you know what? We've hit the road, pretty fast running, and we made incredible progress. When I came into office, we had a fund of about $10 billion. We're now over $13 billion. We've been able to implement some really important, creative ideas that has helped people, like our Rhode Island Anchor Mortgage Program, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But more importantly for me is just ensuring that we're getting the best returns on our fund and that we're giving our members, our pensioners, the best member experience. And so that's always been top of mind, and always dealing with the issue of the day. One of those was cybersecurity, and so we've been very focused about safeguarding our information and putting in the best tools to protect us for that. But I'm sure we'll continue diving deeper into some of these topics.
And no question about it, because those are front of mind for a lot of people. Right out of the gate, just in terms of one of your major roles is obviously overseeing the pension system, to
Yes.
simplify it. And we've seen a pivot towards alternative investments, private credit specifically, in our pension system. Trying to frame this out in as simple a way as possible, but also ask a very direct question. But private credit right now, you read about it every day on a layman's level as a very vulnerable space at minimum that almost is starting to feel susceptible to collapse depending on what and who you read. How much of Rhode Island's pension system right now is in a scenario where it is a fairly reliable investment structure versus, as you said, some of those creative ideas and some of that new approach to investing that we see with alternative investments and private credit?
Mhm. Agreed. It became very evident in the headlines that private credit was a rising concern, and you hear leaders in the finance industries like Jamie Dimon talking about his concerns around private credits. But we really got into the private credit fund exposure about 10 years ago. We started with a 3% allocation. 10 years later, we're still at 3%. And one of the things that we did is, again, when you see these types of headlines, is we just review the information. We feel we're strong, solid, and we had a very open discussion with our state investment commission, which is a public meeting, and we feel we are on the right track, and believe that although there's a lot of noise going around private credit, that we're okay.
What do you say to people who look at the situation right now and they say the return target isn't high enough? That actually, rather than being in a space like private credit, we should be looking into even more alternative assets and trying to chase 9, 10, 11%. Obviously,
Yeah,
that is a dangerous move, but we hear those voices from time to time as well.
I, I agree, and it's all depending on the fund's risk tolerance. If you compare it to a college or university endowment, they can take a little more risk. Pension fund like us, where we have to make sure we pay our benefits every month, our risk tolerance is very different. And so we are very sensitive to all that. We are aware of some of the callings, as you mentioned, that we should be aiming for higher returns. But at the end of the day, the way this fund has been built out through its strategy is that when the markets are doing very well, we enjoy some of that upside. But when the markets are going down, we don't feel much of that pain on the downside. And so it's the reason why this fund is on track to be in 75% funded by 2029, 2030, and fully funded by 2034, 2035. That's a huge milestone for the fund. And it just shows the discipline around the people that work in this office, but also the members of the State Investment Commission, and understanding that there's a lot of flashy things out there, and a lot of things that could help us get there quicker or bring it more returns. More importantly, we know and we understand that our responsibility is our fiduciary one, and it's to the members. So that's our focus every.
Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, we offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, our online programs provide the flexibility you need with a high-quality education you deserve. Learn from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online, learn anywhere with us. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Newport Film. Visit newportfilm.com. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Waterfire Providence. Visit waterfire.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. Follow me on Instagram at Bill Bartholomew.
Single day.
Yeah, it's not like, the state is going to put $150 million down on whether or not it's going to get to 94 degrees at TF Green by 3 p.m. on Poly Market or something. So sometimes you hear this stuff and you realize it's a garbage take, but it is out there. No doubt is a sentiment. Then that's where you have to strike that balance of risk aversion versus are you limiting opportunity because of that risk aversion.
Right.
So you strike that balance every single day. Let's talk about a couple of those things you raised. RI Anchor Home. Look, the state doesn't act as a direct lender here. It's not like people show up at the State House like it's as if it's a bank.
Yeah.
But the Treasury uses up to $80 million in state deposits to back matching accounts at participating local banks and some credit unions. So I guess with that in mind, kind of flesh that out, how that actually works for a person who's looking to take advantage of this program, where you're sort of the not the lender of last resort, but kind of the backstop to the backstop.
Look, it's been a very powerful program that we have announced late last year with about $20 million with 3 financial institutions, one being Navigant Credit Union, Newport Bank, and also Centerville Bank. We decided to really look at the criteria of those folks that were close to being qualified by a mortgage, but because of the pricing of housing stock, but also the interest rate and PMI was keeping any purchasing power out of reach. And so through this program, we were able to eliminate PMI, keep an interest rate of 3.99 for 30 years fixed, and change a little bit of the qualifications so that these folks can have more purchasing power, but also have reasonable mortgage payments that they can afford and stay in their homes for the first time. So this is totally focused around first-time home buyers. We've been able to see great success. The first time we rolled out the program, all the funds were exhausted in literally a month. And what was very powerful about this is that a lot of communities saw purchasing abilities from some of our first-time buyers in their communities, which is very powerful. And 2, it just shows the need for some, more affordable rates in the mortgage space. We announced a second round earlier this month, and we've been able to partner again with Navigant, Coastal One, and Washington Trust. And we're hearing nothing but great news about the amount of people walking in for the first time and getting involved in that experience of buying their first time home, making that American dream come true.
Yeah, no question, a huge piece of the puzzle. We do need the housing stock for it to really work fully, and hopefully that is something that comes to fruition. We'll see how that plays out. I want to talk about cybersecurity just quickly, and then get into soccer, because you're also
Yeah.
co-chair of Rhode Island's, essentially Rhode Island's operation in tandem with the World Cup. Look, cybersecurity is a big deal. We all saw the health source breach. A lot of people experienced it and learned a lot about vulnerability on a direct level here in Rhode Island. Now we have Claude Mythos out, which is Anthropic's unreleased AI that has literally been able to detect security vulnerabilities in financial and other institutional softwares and systems that coders, cybersecurity experts for decades have not been able to solve that very same problem. So we see where this is going. Cybersecurity is becoming more and more and more wild every single day. You manage the state's, well, at least the pensioners' money, and you manage a lot of money for the state. I'll put it that way. Cybersecurity to you right now is?
It's critical, and it's essential. I think, outside of the daily transactions that we have coming out of this office, we have a lot of personal identifiable information, and to me, that is paramount to how we operate. Everything that we look at it also through a lens of cybersecurity. It's, it is why we've been consistent with our assessments every year, our reviews top bottom of our cybersecurity practices. The governor and the legislature gave us the ability to hire a full-time cybersecurity person who's overseeing this whole operation. And what I've always said too is that now these rating agencies are looking at financial security as part of, a reason to upgrade or downgrade our credit rating. And so we've taken that very serious. We were just down there, the governor and I, with Fitch, Moody's, S&P, and this is part of the presentation now because this is what they want to hear.
Yeah, no question about it. Let's talk about soccer. I think
Yes.
back to when you and I first met, I was like, oh, wait a minute, did you play soccer at the Lusitania Club, like in Central Falls? Because I played and refereed there. So yeah, you and I share a lineage there, no doubt about it. Our paths collided in the past.
Yes.
Today, you're co-chair along with Liz Tanner. A lot of roles that Liz Tanner has had in this state, Commerce RI head, and many others. You are co-spearheading Rhode Island's affiliation, organizational support for the World Cup. What does that entail in terms of, there's a million events happening, there's watch events, unofficial, official, but what exactly do you see as your charge here?
Yeah. So it's very clear. I think that, the number one responsibility of this whole organization is to ensure that, Rhode Islanders, tourists feel safe. They have the ability to move around our state. They have the ability to enjoy our state. We also want to capture as much of economic impact as possible. And bottom line, we want this to be fun for everyone. And so whether you're a soccer fan or not, we want this to be a joyous experience. And so you're right. We're going to have a very busy summer. There's going to be a lot going on. The fact that, Bryant and Providence is hosting the Ghana national team is a big deal. And the fact that Bryant has signed on for the second phase of the World Cup, meaning whoever goes on to the next phase, they'll have the opportunity to choose Bryant as a place to practice and also can choose Providence to stay in. That's a huge deal. But throughout this whole time, we're going to have different soccer-related activities across the state, from watch parties in Central Falls, Pawtucket, Providence, East Providence, to different activities in Newport, northern side of the state, et cetera. What's going to be even more exciting is on June 7th, the Cape Verdean national team, who has qualified for the first time to the World Cup, is actually making their first stop in the States in Pawtucket. So Pawtucket's going to give them a major setup. It's a big deal. Saturday, we're bringing a former national Colombian legend to come talk about the excitement around the World Cup. And now we enlisted the House of Portugal, which will be right there at, right off next to Station Park, where they'll bring Portuguese legends every week to, keep the excitement around the Portuguese national team. And we gotta clearly identify the whole experience that Promise is gonna put out through the watch party. They're gonna show every single game, and so this is gonna be an exciting time for our state. And I hope it's not only rewarding as far as an experience, but also that our small businesses and many of our businesses enjoy the impact of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun summer for a lot of reasons. This included lots to watch for, and perhaps we will be in touch and we'll see you out there at the different events. General Treasurer James Diossa, great to talk with you today. Thanks so much.
Always good. Always good to see you. Take care.
Follow me on Instagram at Bill Bartholomew.